Hi there, Adam Parsons here, and I figured I would continue with my recent trend of amplified video productivity. I'm trying something a little bit different. I've got a foam sheet from my puppet making supplies against the computer, so hopefully there won't be as much background noise this time. I'll check that out in post, but hopefully it works. This is the second zombie tattoo video for my friend, and I basically use the same model as the first, so you'll see a lot of similarities between the first one and this one, because I really liked some of the details I put in the first one, and decided to keep them around. So you'll see a lot of the same stuff, but it'll be a little more detailed, a little more interesting shapes put to them and stuff like that. So here we go. This video should come out at exactly 13 minutes. Thought that was poetic in one way or another, being based on horror and, you know, the number 13. So I just figured I just realized I was close to it and dragged it out a little bit longer than I would have normally, so it won't be too bad. It's not like I put a whole lot of filler in or anything, so yeah. As far as I know, this is the final draft. She hasn't indicated that she wants anything changed yet, so this will probably be the last video I do like this. I mean, not necessarily. I'll do plenty more art videos, don't get me wrong, but the last one for this purpose, if you're getting tired of it or whatever, this will be the last one for the tattoo. And yeah. So what you're watching was done before I made the last video. Then about halfway through, it'll get to what was done after I made the last video. So let's while we're sitting here, let's talk a little bit more about zombies. I mentioned that Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island was the first zombie movie that I actually liked. Then there's only really two more that I enjoy, and I really have to be in the mood for one of them. One of them is Zombieland. That's just a fun movie. I think because it doesn't rely on a lot of the cliches that most zombie movies rely on, you know. You start out with a small group of characters, and they make it. They all survive, you know. You don't start out with a huge cast just to see, you know, all the ones that are written so you don't like and the one that's written so you tragically like but turns into a zombie anyway. You know, you don't see any of that. You just see this small group of people survive and make it, and that I really liked that, because it was definitely not what you're used to seeing. Plus, it was a comedy, and comedy usually helps for me. The other one's Shaun of the Dead, and that's one that I have to be in the mood for. You know, everybody raves about Shaun of the Dead, and well, certain people do. You know, cult classic and whatnot. And again, I have to be in the mood for that one, just because, while it's a comedy and it makes fun of all the zombie cliches, they're still in there. And so, obviously, if I don't like zombies, sorry if I got really loud there for a second, obviously, if I'm not fond of zombies, then even a movie that is amplifying the cliches just to be funny is still going to seem kind of cliche to me. So Borderlands 2 just came out. I picked that up, and I've been having fun with that, and that reminds me of the expansion for Borderlands 1, the zombie story, and that is my least favorite Borderlands expansion to play. I enjoyed it the first time. It was really fun, but gosh, I'm not fond of lengthy survival games. You know, survival for the sake of survival. Come on, just let me get from A to B. You know, make the trip interesting, let me explore, but for, you know, when you like to go around and explore things, you don't want to be fighting just hordes of zombies the whole time. At least not me. So I'm going to make a very, very valiant effort not to let Borderlands 2 cut into my video making habits, so that should be shouldn't affect much. I'm mostly playing it with my roommates anyway, and so that's I gotta wait for time to play with them. So in my free time, I'll still be making videos. So I thought I'd mention the alien vlogs a little bit. You know, the reason they come out one of the reasons they come out as infrequently as they do is because I write myself into these corners, so to speak. You could call it writer's block. I get like 3 or 4 ideas of where the show could go from the episode I wrote recently, and I'm afraid to take either step. I have to just start being a little bit bolder with it and just throw myself into whatever I come up with at the time, for better or for worse. You know, that's the way most people would have to do it. So I'm getting used to that concept, and I'm certainly working on the next episode. I've got part of it already shot, so that'll be good. I'm going to try an actual a slightly more ambitious special effect than I usually try. You know, up until now, the most ambitious special effects I've used was basically the one where he was in a shower, and you can kind of tell that was a special effect, but I can't get the puppet wet. So what are you gonna do? So the next special effect will be probably one of the more ambitious ones. It's still going to be one of those that, if I do it right, you won't be able to tell I did it at all. Kind of special effects. I mean, that's sort of the goal of special effects, but sometimes you just know it is because you know that whatever it was they did couldn't possibly have been done without it. So we'll see how that works for the next episode. We'll see. There's a chance it'll be really obvious, and I'm more than willing to do it anyway, just because it has to be done to tell the story, and so I'm just hoping it gets it's at least halfway decent. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. This one I spent a whole lot more time on. That's why the video is so much longer, because I just really threw myself into all the little details that I talked about before in my previous zombie video. And hang on, I'm going to take a drink of water. And but this time I really tried to make them pop. Alright, that transition I think was actually the part where I stopped, recorded the first audio for the zombie video, and then came back and started drawing again. So a little more than halfway through the video anyway. That's where I started playing with the mouth a lot more, if you remember I said I would. And just tried to make that thing look something I hate. The biggest thing that I have, the biggest problem I have with a lot of zombie movies is what I call vague mouth. And that is, anytime, you know, you see a zombie in a movie, it's really hard to tell what the effect on their mouth is supposed to be. Most likely because, you know, people have regular mouths and they're trying to make this mouth look horrifying. And instead you just get this sort of mucked up kind of, like, you can't really tell what's going on with the mouth. And so why would I be afraid of something biting me if I can hardly even see its teeth? And that's something that animation or, you know, computer-generated effects will have over most real makeup effects, because you can't actually make an actor's mouth bigger. You can't, you know, put holes in their cheeks that you can see through. You can't really amplify the scariest part of a zombie, which is that they're going to bite you and try to eat you. And maybe that's one of the most unsettling things, or most irritating things I've found about zombie movies, was just how can I be scared of something when the scariest part about them isn't a very good effect? And so we're putting a nice little gash across his right eye. His right, our left, looking at it. And to match that sort of piece of skin that's torn off below his eye. And the thing about this one was, when I showed her the first one, she asked me to angle his eyebrow bones a little bit more, make him look really angry. And so you'll see that's kind of what I did there. I made them a lot more dynamic and just really amplified his rage here. And we're getting really close to the end of the video, so his shirt, I took a lot more time in designing the tears and rips in it. Before I kind of half-assed it, I have to admit, so it was nice to get a chance to do it over. Adding all the shading. That's kind of the hard part, because I never know if I should do the basic shading first. You know, all the, like if you look at a baseball and it's got the basic shading around it, that's what you have to do to a skull. So I'm never sure if I should do the basic shading first and then do all the little detailed shading and highlights, which is probably what I should do. Or the other way around. Anyway, here we go. We're going into the post-processing. You've got the very first sketch. Then you've got the next step in that sketch coming up right about now. And that's adding, obviously, shadows and details and all that. You know, we get back into coloring of the shirt and making the mouth darker. And just really trying to make the whole thing pop because it's in black and white. Then we get to what is basically the final draft, and there he is. That's what I sent to her. I didn't add a background this time because it was really pointless the first time. And now I've got a little bit of a surprise. The zombie model that I used, because I had to use something to make it look more realistic, was myself. That is the angriest face I could make at the time, and so I just put a paper over it and sketched in a bunch of little points, and that is essentially what I would look like if I was a zombie and was rotting in those areas. And I've got one more little bonus feature here while I've got you, and that is the final Donald Duck picture. After those first two drafts, he liked the colors of the second one, and I souped it up and added some shading. So, thanks for watching.